Good evening, everybody. This is Hugo Quintanilla here with another live. I am your neighborhood realtor here, licensed in Maryland. My name is Hugo Quintanilla. I am licensed with Long Foster, North Potomac, Rockville. We are live. This is your live, 15 to 20 minutes a day to learn a little bit more about real estate and how it can benefit and impact those around you and you yourself. I am your host, Hugo Quintanilla. My phone number, 240-389-4846. My email, hugo@lnf.com. And my website is yourrealtorhugo.com. Feel free and look at the ticker below. You can also feel free and just look me up online. I am on Google and on all social medias. And speaking of social medias, we are actually on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, X, and Twitch. All live streaming. We actually have a direct feed into the chat on Instagram. So if you have a question or want to actually have it brought into the live, feel free and join me on Instagram. The handle is Hugo, the number 4, Long and Foster. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are actually going to be talking about historical homes. If you have any questions and need any assistance with buying, selling, leasing, or investing in Maryland, internationally, or nationwide, I am more than happy to help you out. But historical homes are a very particular sort of property because they are not always the most easy to pinpoint and also maintain. We're going to go discuss 10 points on how to buy historical homes and what to know on them. And especially living in an area like Maryland, we are one of the 13 first original colonies. So there is tons of history here. If you go back into the history books on Montgomery County's historical website, you can see Rockville Pike 355, that huge road that we see nowadays. It was just a little street with a whole bunch of dirt paths off of it. So time does go by. So if you have any questions about historical properties, today is the day to ask them. Now, just off the bat, historical properties are not just your run of the mill, like old property. It has to be over 100 years old and has to be deemed historical by a society of preservation or local community that does that sort of work. So not every home that is over 100 years is historical, but there can be paperwork and moves to make a home historical. So let's go ahead and jump into it because I kind of got on a little late today. Number one, historical preservation regulations. Understand the local and state regulations regarding historical preservation. Some areas may have restrictions on modifications or renovations. This is the biggest hurdle of historical homes, is not being able to update them if they are in fact being preserved. They need to be kept in a form that is very similar to how they were originally maintained, and also in the materials and elements and procedures of how the products, the actual materials were used in those times. So it has to be very true to the original period relevant practices. So that's where it can really get expensive. There are very few workers that labor in that type of work. It is very detail oriented and very specific. But these homes need to get sold, and they do. It's usually to a larger organization that can maintain these maintenance costs. Research the home's history. Dive into the history of the home, including its architectural style, previous owners, and any notable events. This adds to the charm and character of owning a historical property. And it can really add to the value of the home if you have a historical figure that has also been part of the property and linked to it in a provable way. That can also help. Number 3, conditions of the structure. Conduct a thorough inspection to assess the overall condition of the home. Be aware of the potential issues such as lead paint, asbestos, or out-of-date wiring. Some of these things are going to be unavoidable, just the sheer age of the property. Things were done differently. But knowing what can and should be changed is the first step to tackling that monster. So information is key, and doing a thorough inspection is a great way to get that done very quickly. Number four, potential restoration costs. Budget for potential restoration costs or renovation costs. Historical homes may require specialized contractors who understand preservation guidelines, and that really is the long and the short of it. If you skip corners there, you can really lose the value of the home, and that can really, defeat the whole purpose of why you bought a historical property. Number five, energy efficiency considerations. Historical homes may not be as energy efficient as newer constructions. Evaluate the insulation, windows, and heating and cooling systems for potential upgrades. This is another big point that in the past, properties were not built to withstand some of these, insulation needs or systems that, we have nowadays in modern technology. So there are inevitably going to be more drafts, more costs to maintaining a home like this. That's all stuff that needs to be in your budget, and you need to remember because it's just the cost of living in these homes. That's why we ended up improving on these materials and these methods because it just energy efficiency is it works so many different ways for you and for the environment as well. Number six, home insurance for historical properties. Check with home insurance providers about coverage for historical homes. Policies may differ due to the unique features and potential restoration costs. So make sure that you're taking your time to actually learn what the costs of owning this property are going to be. Like a historical car, owning a historical home will undoubtedly more expensive, and you also have to take into consideration the fact that in some markets, we're even seeing insurance companies pull out. So there are um, a lot of things to consider when insuring your home. Make sure you're getting the right insurance. You're not leaving yourself exposed just to save a couple of dollars and leaving yourself underinsured. Make sure you're talking to a good insurance professional that can work with you. Long and Foster, for example, has a great staff of insurance professionals that can work with you and give you the best policies to make sure that you're not, undoubtedly falling into some loophole or some, pit in your coverage. Number seven, landmark designations. Determine if the home has any landmark designations. This could affect your ability to make the alterations or additions to the property. If it's a landmark, it's a landmark. There's not too much more that you can do. And usually, being a landmark comes with its own other stipulations and clauses. For example, I saw a home the other day. It was a historical home in Tennessee because it was involved in Nashville's music scene, I believe. I think the owner had to agree to make the property open to the public at least once a year. So imagine it had to be kept in the same condition as it was originally purchased, and it had to be made available to the public at least once a year. So that is a landmark, and the preservation of it has entailed that for people to enjoy it, it must be made available, even though it is being privately sold. So there are things to look at like that can really draw a great crowd to your property, or also deter you from ever wanting to be involved with such a thing. Number eight, check for preservation incentives. Explore whether there are any local or state incentives for preserving historical properties. This could include tax credits or grants for restoration efforts. And that can really be a great plus for someone that has a portfolio of properties or might needs maybe some investment opportunities that are a little unconventional, a place to invest money that not only helps themselves but also helps the community. Number nine, consult with a preservation expert. Engage professionals experienced in historical preservation, including architecture and contractors. They are providing valuable insight and advice. So take that and use it to make informed decisions about what you are going to do and not do in this property. They will tell you straight up, hey, this is what you need to do for this, this, and this is what you need to do to make sure that this works. So act accordingly. Don't cut corners, and keep in mind that a historical home does come with its extra costs. Now, will all homes become historical at some point under the definition of over 100 years? Yes. If it's built correctly, it probably will last a substantial amount of time. but usually designated areas and designated homes are being preserved for their um, historical reference. So, unless your property has some sort of historical relevance, the chances of a normal everyday home just becoming historical one day is very slim. And lastly, community engagement. Number 10, get involved in the local historical community. Attend meetings or events to connect with neighbors and gain insights into the history of the area. This can not only help for you to better improve the property, but to also stay within the community that helps preserve these properties. You can help each other out, and it really does feel like you're no longer on an island. You are part of a community of like minded individuals that like to preserve these properties and like to maintain them for the historical value that they bring all of us. They are really great people that are helping the community because without their efforts, some of these properties would be lost to time. And we have some great ones in this area just because of situations like that. Are they expensive to keep? Yes. But are they necessary to understand our past and how far we've come versus today? Absolutely. Buying a historical home in Maryland can be a rewarding experience, but it requires careful consideration and planning due to the unique characteristics and potential challenges associated with preserving the home's history. And that's really what it's about. It's timeless elegance, navigating the purchase of a historical home in Maryland. And this has been the 10 insights on that topic. To review, number one, historical preservation regulations. Make sure you're aware of what they are. Number two, research the home's history. Number three, look at the structure's condition. Number four, budget in potential restoration costs. Number five, consider energy efficiency costs. Number six, consider home insurance for historical properties. Number seven, check out landmark designations. Number eight, check for preservation incentives with your local and state government. Number nine, consult with a preservation expert. And number 10, get involved with the community to stay engaged. This really altogether helps you embrace the charm of history. And it's some of the most important things to keep in mind when you're buying a historical home. It's not impossible. Like any other purchase, it's just a matter of putting one foot in front of the other and knowing that there are going to be costs with every structure. Is it for everyone? Absolutely not. Nine times out of 10, I would tell most people to stay away from a historical home. Most people are not built that way. They are not built to deal with those things. They're not that hands on, not knowledgeable, and that not that ready to deal with the issues that might come with a historical home. But if the client does know what they're getting into, does feel like they're ready for that challenge, is ready to make that move into a historical property, it can be a very rewarding experience. So, if you're thinking about buying, selling, leasing, or investing in a historical home or any sort of home, feel free and let me know. My name is Hugo Quintanilla. I am licensed in Maryland with Long and Foster, North Potomac, Rockville, but I can help you nationwide and also internationally. So feel free and reach out. My phone number 240-389-4846. My email is hugo@lnf.com, and my website is yourrealtorhugo.com. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in for another live. Don't forget that tomorrow we have the real estate news review, the top 10 real estate news stories of the week. So tune in for that one. I appreciate all of you hanging in there with me. I will see you all again tomorrow. Thank you all for the feedback on Friday's stream. I apologize for the audio, and hopefully we will have it fixed for this one. So if you guys have any comments, questions, feedback, as always, please feel free and leave them in your platform of choice. We're on LinkedIn, X, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, I really do appreciate all of you. Take care. Have a great Saturday, and I will see you all tomorrow for Sunday's live. Take care. Have a great night.